have a quorum yet, but we're going to start the meeting anyway. And we obviously can't make any decisions on anything until we get an 8th member here, but I don't think there's much that we have to make a decision on at this point. So in attendance, we have Ken Reese, who is a commission member, and Jim Long, who's a commission member, and Alan Bixler, who's a commission member. And now we have a quorum. Sue Ann is here. We have Sue Ann Shore, who is a commission member, Karen Pollitt and Dave Pollitt, commission members, Rebecca Stiliano, commission member, and Terry is on the phone on an extension, Terry Gaffney. So we are legal. We have 8, so we can make decisions if we have to. So let's start by taking a look at the minutes from September, all right? Because that was the last time we had a meeting. We didn't have a meeting last month because we knew we didn't have a quorum and there wouldn't have enough people to meet. So let's just look at those first. And if there are no questions, somebody will say, I move we accept the minutes, whatever.
I move to accept them as written.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. So Terry made a motion to
Second.
accept it, and it's seconded by Jim Long. Is there any discussion on them? Any misspellings or whatever?
Back of the first page.
All in favor of accepting the minutes as shown here?
Misspelling.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, so the minutes from the September meeting have been now accepted. Monuments and Ceremonies Commission Treasurer's Report, funds spent and what remains. Just quickly, briefly, it doesn't have to be a major deal. I'd just like to know where we stand.
You know what I did? I printed out the new one and I left the other one on my desk. I'm sorry, I don't have it.
Just roughly what we've got.
Looks like we've probably got about $1,500, I think, left.
Is that in the
budget.
program?
That's in the program expenses,
Program, right,
yeah.
okay. Program expenses, okay, that's good to know. And there may be some things we have to purchase, like some additional flags and things of that nature or whatever.
Right, and that's kind of a recurring.
We can take that out of program, that'll be fine. The
That's-
other money, I think, was money that, the 2250, I think did they use that already?
I
For
believe-
facilities repair and maintenance.
I believe that was what got used up already, the
Yeah.
2250.
Now,
Did you get a bill for someone fixing the stone out in the front here? Because
Never.
somebody did it.
no, I think the town did it.
I did not.
I
It's
think the town
totally
did.
patched in the back.
Yeah, the third stone.
The
over there.
Civil
Yeah.
War stone.
No, I did not.
All right, let's stay on
know
topic
that.
here, all right?
Okay.
So for facility repair and maintenance, we had $2,250 here. That was for this current year.
Right.
And they may have tapped into that already with the cemetery, but you can check that.
Yes.
Yeah, and see
I'll
if
get
they
the
you got a
update
bill
on
for that. Because I have to speak on the cemetery committee next, because that's important. All right? So anyway, I'm going to have, when you fill out the request for money for next year,
Yeah.
would you include this, which is a request from the Veteran Sign Committee, in that category?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
And you can keep, that can all go in together if you'd like, or
Together.
something,
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
All right.
So I took it out.
Okay,
Back in.
so let's quickly delve into the cemetery committee. So the cemetery committee, here's what happened. I have to explain it so you understand fully. At the end of this year, in April this year, we gave them $4,200 that we had in the second category, which is under maintenance. And they had run out of funds and they were doing a lot of work.
Right.
So we granted that to them. When they put in their bill, they put it in May, which is fine. You can put it in before the 30th.
Okay.
However, on the bill, there are places to put the code that you're to pull the money from. So you know that they were given a $9,000 account to use, to draw from, not any other money, but that $9,000 account. Now, they put that first, and then they put the our account second. Because of that, when it got to finance, the bill was over for X amount of dollars. They took the money from the first one and it covered it. So that extra $4,000 that was ours went back into the general fund.
Well,
because when they came in and offered a bill later on that summer, it was
You don't have
denied.
any money.
So here's what happened. I have filled out a form to take contingency funds. And I have all the paperwork here and all that, but basically what they asked to do was, could we help them out? Is there something maybe we can do it? And yes, since they lost the 4250, they didn't really lose it. It went back into the general fund. It wasn't used for anything else. They applied for that 4250 to be moved from contingency fund into their fund so that they can use it to pay off their bills and stuff and everything else. And there was also some additional monies that they have. So I asked for a total of $6,150 or thereabouts. And that form will be reviewed tonight at the Board of Selectmen meeting, which will be right here. You can all watch that. And once it's reviewed here, 7 days hence, it will go to the Board of Finance. And if they approve the transfer from one to another, everything will be fine. They'll be covered. The bills that they've already incurred, which is close to $1,400, will be paid, and they will have some money to finish out and go into the next year. I also applied today, just now at Finance. I went over and I handed in a request for money for the following year. That's going to start in June, at the end of June, however. All right, so they're on a touch-and-go basis here with how much money they can spend.
So essentially what we're saying is that because of a coding error,
That's right. They
Yes.
didn't get to use that 4,000, and
because of a
therefore...
coding error, the money got taken out of the
Yeah.
wrong pocket.
And I'm using that as justification for asking
Yeah.
for
I
that
mean,
4,200. I want it back, in other words, and that's basically what
I
it
mean,
is.
you've got volunteers, you've
Yeah.
got,
And
whatever.
exactly, and a lot of
Right.
money, so I don't think it'll be, I can't speak for the Board of Selectmen, I can't speak for the Board of Finance, but if it were me, looking at it from that viewpoint, I would say, hey, it's a wash. We took it away, we'll give it back. Okay, and that's it, because had she coded it the opposite way, this wouldn't even be a discussion point. They would have taken it from that $4,000, there would have been some left over from the 9, and they would have been still going on their merry way picking up tree limbs. So that's what,
But the town didn't give us anything of what we asked for, We asked for
they asked
30,000.
for quite a bit of money last year, and they
Right.
only got the $9,000.
And we
They
got
gave us a third of what they asked for.
9,000 in a trust we were supposed to for the cemetery.
Right.
They were supposed to access it from the Wilson Trust. And we got nothing from the town.
Right, so that's why we're going in, I've already asked, that's why I asked the cemetery people to come up with a budget for next year. They gave it to me. I transcribed it from their handwritten notes today onto a form. I just went over and handed it into the finance, so they're asking for X amount of money, all right, and that's where that works. So just so you're up to speed on the drama, okay?
They can't
of that.
do anything from now to
They can't
June.
do anything until they get paid, until the money comes in. Hello? They can't do anything until the money gets paid, all right? And if it gets okay tonight and it gets okay next week, then they have access to it. Then the transfer happens, all right? Okay, so much for cemetery committee. And the cemetery committee is actually important this year because, look, we're going into 2020, and we don't want the town to be embarrassed by what the conditions are of the different cemeteries that are historical in the town, especially the ones we're going to mark and such. So I think they'll take that into heart.
So the other day, we have a subcommittee that's doing the anniversary day, which is June 12th, which is the anniversary of the founding of the town. And we went to Slauson Cemetery to check it out again. And we also brought somebody from a tent installer, because we're not going to have a rain date.
Right.
And he installed a 16 by 20 tent. It will seat 40 to 50 people. If we get more than that, they'll just have to, and it rains,
Get
they'll
wet.
just have to
Right.
have umbrellas.
Umbrellas.
But in any event, there's a huge tree, fir tree, and we may have to cut down some small limbs, just some.
Right dead center in the middle of the cemetery, if
Yes.
I remember
Right.
correctly.
Yes.
We had already started to attack that tree with our own small saws and ladders and stuff, and yes, that tree is one that we thought did not belong in the middle of the cemetery. Yeah.
So, and I think just some very light pruning in the springtime. I don't know if 2020 will do it, or M&C wants to do it, or
Well,
volunteers or whatever.
that would
But
be
Alan, that's
something
for
we
the
would
tent.
address. Pardon me?
That's for the tent to be able to be installed properly.
It would be very cumbersome if you didn't do any trimming to install the tent. The
Okay.
guy said we could do it, but, you've got a limb there. and
No,
people
no,
walking
no, no.
around.
We'll take those off. So here's my suggestion, that you get in contact once this meeting tonight and meeting next, on the 19th happens, and we know whether we have those funds.
Right.
My suggestion would be to contact the head of the cemetery committee and work it out with her, because she knows she has people that do this,
Okay.
okay? And, because they've done it in many, they did it in
Absolutely.
Leeds, they did it in a couple other
Ms.
ones.
Tracy?
Tracy, but you'll probably ask for Sharon. Probably get
Sharon
Sharon
Kells.
Kells, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Tracy.
So, 2020 committee update.
She's moving.
Just, why don't we jump right to that right now, Alan?
Oh, okay.
DAR marker application? Okay.
Yeah, so that's been
It's here.
processed. I gave it to Jamie Stevenson to sign and everything, and that's done. right?
Okay.
That's a done deal.
It's in.
Right, Kathleen Love said she was
Yeah.
all good with it.
I have a copy of it here for all of us.
Yeah, it's in your notes, it's a two-pager, and this is what they went through. The DAR is very specific in what they require and so on, so this was all done, properly by the applicant, and so that's going to move ahead. Anything else on 2020 that we should know or announce?
Just, yeah, everybody get ready for January 10th is the opening ceremony. We're going to have a color guard, where the Tudor singers are going to be in there. And they're going to be singing. We'll have the color guard present the colors, hopefully. And Scott Pelley is our keynote speaker.
Yes, that's good.
Jamie Stevenson will obviously welcome everybody. And we sent letters out to all our state and federal representatives. And we're getting some replies, so there will be some.
Okay, and the location will be
The location,
auditorium.
it's in this auditorium.
in this auditorium, and what time?
The doors open at 6:30.
Okay.
From 6:30 to 7, there'll be a slideshow presentation and the Tudor Singers for 15 minutes. At 7 o'clock or 7:05 is when the color guard, and the official opening is at 7 o'clock. The color guard will
Right.
come down. It'll go till about 8:15. After that, there's an after-party ceremony at the Darien Arts Center.
Okay.
Oh,
That is not a town event. That is sponsored by the Darien Historical Society and the Darien Arts Center.
Okay.
And that is going to be a ticketed event. We're going to have hot hors d'oeuvres
Okay.
or hors d'oeuvres and a champagne toast. So that is not a town event.
And that'll kick it off,
That will kick it
January
off,
10th.
yes.
Hopefully, it'll be wonderful weather, and we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Any
And
questions,
actually,
Alan,
there is a
anybody?
snow day the next Saturday, January 11th.
Oh, we
Oh,
do?
there
Just in
is?
case.
Oh.
So we
Oh,
really
thank
don't
you.
have to worry
Very
about
good.
it.
Just the next day.
The next day.
oh, the next day, okay.
At 2 o'clock, January 11th.
Okay, so if there's nothing more from Alan, let's jump to the display case applications for 2020. My understanding from Rebecca is that the display case is full
Through December of 2020.
through December of 2020.
2020, that's how you say it, right?
Yes, that's wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
And I was just noticing the building that's going on down there, so that our,
Yes, I know.
so I'm thinking, nobody goes that way. Nobody, when you're coming into the town hall, not too many people go to the right.
Right.
They go to the left. And there's a space there. We could have it moved to the other side, because people go to the assessor's office, they go to the, I don't know why we just couldn't move it to be right there.
We can ask Bobby, the
Yeah.
fire marshal, and we can ask Kate.
Because it's not going to impede anybody at
Who did
that
you deal
point.
with last time, Kate and Bobby?
No, I dealt with Bob,
Bob, down at the
and then
fire
Jamie,
marshal.
and of course Jamie went,
Okay.
so.
So,
But there's something there now.
No,
no,
nothing.
no.
It's
not
where
that.
they start putting all the crap up, when they're
Oh,
hanging
yes,
stuff
but I
on the
mean,
wall.
there's a display now where we wanted to put our case.
Right, there is.
No. You know where the lady
No, she was
sits?
saying, there is a display, there's a vote, there's a thing
Yeah,
with the
there
mock
is,
up there.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think most people go the other way.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk to him while you're still in
I can
uniform?
ask Bob, yeah, I'll ask
Okay,
him.
all right.
I'll ask him.
So, okay. All right, do that and ask and see what happens. And if they can move it, they can move it.
And I don't have any stain, so I couldn't contribute to, did you look at the bottom of the case?
I didn't.
I haven't either.
One of the groups that was using the case dropped one of the glass shelves. Shelves went down and went through the board on the bottom. The board on the bottom is very thin, like the wand, and so it made a dent, a hole in it about this big. Probably what could happen with that is if you wanted to, you could insert a thicker piece of wood over the top of it that's all been stained properly and stuff, and just slide it right down over top of it. You'd never see it again, and so on. But I think did we ever talk to the guys in the
Yeah,
department?
they put the wood filler in.
They filled
And
it,
then they
Fill the
said,
wood filler, yeah.
but they don't have stain.
but they don't have any stain that matches.
Oh, they don't have the stain in there. All right.
Like
Well, I'll take a look at it once the next.
Because I have both of my stain, the things that I have for stain are up in Vermont. And I might have one that.
I got 2 or 3 at home, but I
I
don't know.
don't have
that, you
anything
know.
here.
Hi, I'm
Maybe
just
we
coming
could
in,
spring
trying a
this-
different stain every time. Don't worry about me.
Just, you know, like spend $3 and just do
It
it.
depends on the wood filler.
Yeah.
A lot of wood fillers won't.
Don't
Are not-
you can
they're
get
not
the-
porous.
You can get the exact same stain,
Yeah.
and it'll give it a different shade.
Yeah, because the wood
Yeah.
color would be different.
Because
It's
I don't know what
unusual
color
if it
wood filler they
works.
put in.
Absolutely.
But it was a big deal to get this done. But no charge.
Not nice.
Okay, so we're full for next year. Now, I'm going.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Rebecca. So here's the deal. Rebecca's been in charge of the display case for quite a while now. She's done a bang-up job of getting all these groups to get their forms in, a lot of them which are in this packet. We don't have to go over them with a fine-tooth comb. Every one of these has been approved. Rebecca will be resigning from the commission, and so...
Sadly.
And we thank you very much for all your service to the town, Rebecca.
I just don't think it's fair if I can only be here 3 times a year. It's
She-
really not.
Rebecca travels a lot, they do Florida and Vermont, and then, so, we will need somebody to think on whether they want to take over the booking of the display case. So you don't have to make a decision
You have
now.
a year to decide.
But we have a while to think about it, but you do want to give some thought to that and decide whether or not you want to be the person who books people into that display case. You can't sell anything out of the display case. You know, there are a couple of guidelines for it, which we have. We can get to like about 2 paragraphs worth of guidelines. It's not a big deal, but we thank you very much for keeping it full all these years and for making sure that people get the stuff in and out when they have to. Right now, I think there's senior men in there,
Right.
and then at the end of the
Wreaths.
month, I'll put the Wreaths Across America. I have all that stuff at home.
Basically, all I do is just call the people about a week ahead of time.
Right.
Get your stuff out, bring your stuff in. That's it. It's not a big deal.
Okay. So, let's go on to the next category, which is Facebook Town Media Guidelines. Now, Lorraine has been
I'm
working
sorry,
on
which
this.
is what? I didn't hear it.
We're going to the Facebook and use of town media and their guidelines and such, okay? Lorraine had come up with, did you just send it to us?
I sent it to you and Karen and Lucy to begin with.
Okay, just to look at, all right. So,
There's 17 pictures, right?
I couldn't open
I had
it,
sent out,
They didn't want to send you too many, so.
just so we can get on the same page as far as doing anything with Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything of that level. So we are not going to come to a decision here tonight, I'm going to tell you, because there's things we have to talk about. Number one, I gave you, everybody, electronically, a 17-page listing of the September 2017 list of guidelines for social media, for any social media. Now, as a committee or a commission, you're acting as an agent of the town, so therefore you fall under this. The first thing that has to be noted is that whoever administers this particular account has to realize that their phone or computer or tablet, whatever they use to administer any account, any social media account for the town or on behalf of a unit of the town, you're subject to the Freedom of Information Act. So therefore, your phone and your computer are subject to the Freedom of Information Act. Just so you know that right off the top. Number two, there is a form that has to be filled out that was in that 17-page listing. And that form has to be filed with the town, and the town administrator has to have access to your site, because anything you put up on the site, or anything you tweet, whatever, communications that you use with Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, they have to be reviewed prior to being sent out. This is the rule. These are the rules, okay? And there are as you go down the list, there is another whole slew of things that apply to this. So the one that you sent me today had on it, first of all, you know, it's not going live, but you had on it, I believe you called it Lauren's MNC or something like that.
No, it was just for you guys to look
Oh,
at.
just for you to look at,
It wasn't
okay.
posted
Yeah.
anywhere.
Okay.
It was just for you to,
Right.
I just wanted to show you the pictures
The-
I took from the event. They weren't things that I.
Okay, the one thing that you have to realize we have to realize is that there can be no give and take on a site, on any site that the town operates. There's no going back and forth with somebody on it. Somebody criticizes something and you say something and they say something. That's ruled out by these guidelines. So you can't, your amount of comments that you can put forth are, slim, okay? You may be able to comment, but nobody can comment back and go back and forth on it. All these things have to come into play. So I like the idea of drumming up business and of having some other utility to do that. There are ways to connect anything you want to do in social media to the town website, to our monuments and ceremonies section, okay? Because I was just in with Kate now and she was showing me it going through it. We can do that. There is a disclaimer that has to be put on there if it goes to a site that is not a town-operated site. You're leaving the town-operated site, you're going someplace else, we are not liable, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a few rules and regulations that have to be followed.
Yeah,
So-
17 pages.
Yeah, and as I was going through it, I was noticing these more and more things were jumping out at me. So just speaking in general, all right, on this particular topic, I know that there might be a committee that is using Facebook and/or any of the other platforms already. If they are, then they have to be, and I'm talking about 2020, if they are, then they have to have gone through the town administrator
Yeah.
in order to do that. So that has to be done.
Absolutely. And
Because
I've
she
been
has
in
to have
contact-
all passwords, and she has to have access to this so that she can monitor this. And that's by,
I have been back and forth with Kate on
Okay.
this issue.
okay, well, I'm just saying, so that's what needs to be done
Absolutely.
for both groups, okay, and so on. So you did come up with, you have it on your laptop or on your, you have,
With the photos or?
yeah, whatever you put on it?
Let me see if that's.
Okay.
Very, let me see if I have a. Yeah, I didn't want to send you either, the album might have been too big. I just wanted to show you examples of
Yeah.
photos I took. That's, and I mean, not to not take those rules seriously, but when people read like an agreement on Apple, they should read everything in the agreement,
Right.
but they just click agree so they could use Apple. And there are things that can be used, of course, if somebody wanted to take the fullest extent of litigation. But for the most part, people probably don't. And you could also get around something like that and just use a cheap phone just for a site like this or something like that.
Yeah,
So if somebody said that they wanted
I like to
use your
err-
phone and your password.
I'd rather
and stuff,
err on the side
all
of-
content would be,
I'd rather err on the side of caution because this is a town entity and we have seen lawsuits filed in this town over people who have released information that they shouldn't have released over public media, okay? And there's one going on right now. So, I mean, this is why we don't want to jump right into this. I think we need to set up
So Dave, before you
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
any further, can I just ask a question? What if it's the photos that we're going to be giving to the newspaper, the photos, exactly the same photos that the newspaper is there taking already, just going out in a different form, a different avenue?
if we're using photographs,
Like, I'm
first
just
of
thinking
all,
of yesterday.
that's gonna
ceremony.
end up being, if it comes from this committee, from
Yeah.
this commission,
Right.
it has to be sent to a whole smorgasbord of media. So they all have the rights to it. So what you're saying is it then okay in the public domain and we can then put it on there?
Right.
Okay.
It's-
My guess is yes.
It's so we call the Darien Times and Patch and News Review
Darien-ite.
and Twitter. Just add that to the list, that these are ways to send out information. Not to create stuff and make a statement. It's just another way to send out information
Well-
that we're already sending out. That some people like to read the newspaper, some people see stuff on their phone. It's just another way. It's not to create something new.
We send out, when we send out a missive to the community,
Right.
it goes out to print media and it goes out to online media
Right, understand.
already. It already does. We have to by law.
It doesn't go out by Twitter. right now. We don't tweet it.
No, we don't.
As an example.
Right.
And I'm maybe just jumping in the middle of something that I don't have all the background on. But I think that's what we're trying to take the baby step to do. Not to do something new and revolutionary, but just to add that to our toolbox of ways to get
Yeah,
the word out.
as long as all the media outlets and all the media, as long as all of them get it at the same time, have access to it at the same time, we're clear. If they don't, if they're not personally notified,
You can close one of them, I think.
yeah, you can close one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, just one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
has
have
to
to leave
be
one
open,
open.
I think.
As long, and I might be missing the point, but as long as they all get it, equal access to it, so they all have the same lead time.
I just feel like we're
Yeah.
creating a problem or an issue where there isn't one.
Well, I was threatened, and my wife was threatened with a Freedom of Information Act filing because we didn't get something to somebody in a timely fashion that we were supposed to. That happened within the last year, okay? So this happens here. This is not a joke.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, just
that
saying,
it is a
this
joke.
happens.
But
And it was over a photograph.
Okay.
And it has to go out to everybody equally. And up till like last year, I had no clue. But then there was an official listing that the town has of people that have to get it every single time. So it can't be a little closed thing where we
But I'm
go,
not,
yeah.
It's really a
no
shame that
one's
somebody did that and that
offering
they're.
to do anything behind closed doors.
No, and there are workarounds. They're
We're
just-
not suggesting anything behind closed doors,
Right.
just to simply add another item to the list.
Right,
of
it sounds like
when we
somebody like
send
really took advantage
You
of.
can-
now.
What you're suggesting is that along with my list of Darien-ite, Darien Times, Patch, Voice, you name it, all the way down the line, that it also be a Twitter account.
A lot of
Okay.
people don't read the others.
Hmm?
Go on.
Yes.
If it's a Twitter account, or an Instagram account, or a Facebook page, okay, it has to go through, has to be applied for and go through
Check,
the town administrator.
absolutely.
If you're willing to do that, and then somebody has to take responsibility
Which I think.
for it,
Right,
and be the one responsible
What I was saying
party,
is you,
and work with the town.
what I was saying is the way that you get around doing something like, I mean, first of all, anybody that would. Excuse me?
You can't get around.
No, I'm not saying get around the, I'm not saying get around the rules, but I'm saying it sounds patently ridiculous that somebody would pick on both of you in a town committee with a FOIA act over
Yeah,
a
but it
picture.
happens.
And to
It
do
happened.
that, no, it happened, but to do that and to not have any social media presence because somebody would push something like that. You know, I'm saying the way you do it is you could have like, I could have like a cheap phone or a thing that only has that kind of content on it. And if somebody says, I'm gonna hit you with a FOIA request, say, fine, take my phone and my thing and like, look at it and that's what's on it. You know, like, there are ways, you know, if someone wants to be so petty as to do, and there are a lot of people who are on social media and they do comment and they do things like that, and what you do is you don't respond.
Okay, here's the
You know,
deal.
like, you don't
All right.
have a fight that's
I get the point you're trying to make, all right, I get it, okay? In a perfect world, it wouldn't be a problem. This is not a perfect world, all right? We have to go by the guidelines they have. So what has to happen is, somebody has to take responsibility for it and everything else. I can tell you right off the bat, I will not take responsibility for monitoring any of these sites, ever, ever, all right? I don't need the aggravation. I wouldn't want to, all right? However,
And if you do, it makes it an official thing
Right.
from Monuments and
right,
Ceremonies.
so if it's an official organ, I mean, the town doesn't have a Facebook site. There's a reason why it doesn't have a Facebook site. They told me why. Now, so that's what it is. If you would like to meet with the town administrator and discuss what you want to do, be my guest, okay? Meet with her, meet with Kate, set up a meeting. Want to bring Sue Ann with you, or you want to bring Jim with you, or anybody else, I mean, whoever, okay? Just have your meeting and report back to us as to what she said you have to do. So she'll tell you, you know, point by point, what you have to do in order to do this. And if that's what you want to do, fine with me, but I'm not gonna sign off on it.
No,
I will not be,
understand.
I will not be the one that signs off on
It's
it.
a shame you were targeted for something that sounds like a shame you were targeted for it. I mean, to hit somebody with a FOIA request for a picture in a town committee sounds very petty and silly. And, you know, I think these rules are meant for much bigger deals, but it's,
Yeah, but if
it's
you
fine.
look at the rules, the 17 pages that they're talking about from the smallest of the small to the biggest of the big. And they make a point of saying that in the rules. That applies to everybody. They don't care who you are. All right? So, because we could argue it back and forth, and I'm not going to, but, you know, I would love to see it be a thing where people don't don't go after somebody. But it happens. And it's happened to me. And I've seen it, so I'm not having it happen to me again. So if you would like to meet, please let me know when you want to do that or who you're going to meet with. And I'd be more than happy, if I'm available, to go in with you and listen to what Kate has to say. Because she's the authority on this. And she's the one that has to, she's the town administrator that has to do
But
it.
I also want to say, I don't think that we have a problem getting our message out. I think it's everywhere.
It
It's
is.
It's on all of the media. The local media picks up everything that's sent and publishes it in the newspaper, online.
On Facebook.
It's
So
everywhere.
it's not like it's something, I understand, it's not like it's something we're really lacking because we're not getting enough people to come around or whatever.
We have no people. We need members.
Which is what I'm going to come up to
Really,
next.
yes.
Is that okay?
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah,
all
it's
right.
fine.
Resignations and reappointments and such, okay. So if you're eligible to be reappointed at this particular point in time, Rebecca was one of those people who was, okay, you have to notify Ray Slavin as to whether or not, if you're a Republican, Ray Slavin, and there's a counterpart that you have in the Democratic Town Committee, right? I don't know who that is, but whoever.
All they have to do is get an application off our site, the
Right.
RTC site. We have an application, you fill out the application and send it in, and then we follow up on it.
All right, I'm gonna mention something here about resignations and appointments. Rebecca is resigning, okay? She has travel problems. Within 4 months, my wife and I will be resigning. Okay? Because we travel a lot. We are out to South Dakota an awful lot where my daughter lives, and it's a long ways out, so we stay quite a while, and we can't be timing our trips around meetings and such and everything else. So we will stay and assist. I will stay and assist, and even when I'm here and I'm not away, if there's ever a question from this commission of something that has to be, how do we do this, how do we do that, and I'm available, I'll be more than happy to help, okay? But we will be, and I've already spoken to the first selectman about this, we will be leaving more than likely by the end of March. All right, so we will be together with you.
Or not.
Or, huh?
Or not.
Or not, whatever.
Well, we'll see how it goes. If
Well-
we have replacements, definitely.
Yeah, okay, so why I asked Ray to come is because Ray was talking to me the other day about it when I mentioned to him that we might be leaving, and Ray is the one who fills the slots for the Republican Town Committee, all right? And there's another one who fills for independents and Democrats. And I'm saying this to the public now, we need bodies on this commission.
Yeah.
We need more people on this commission. This is an active commission. It may be the most active commission in the town. We have 4 or 5 major events, and now we're adding the sign, putting up the signs and stuff, and also we have 2020 coming up. We need active members who are here, who can work on the commission and move us forward and keep us going in the right direction.
And can walk and chew gum.
Ray can walk and chew gum. Ray, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just want to urge the Republicans that we really need people. If you can help get people, let us know quickly. Tell them to get on our website and download an application and get it to us as quickly as possible. We'd like to get this stuff done at least by
Because
the
there is
end
a
of the
vetting
year.
process.
With these people, this is a major blow with them leaving. So.
So, and I will take the other side because this is an apolitical commission. Democrats and independents, you fall into that, both under the DTC. Please go to the DTC website and you'll find probably the same thing. You will find applications that you can use, and you will find the information on how to apply, and they will interview you, and they will put you up before the Board of Selectmen, and then the Board of Selectmen will pass on you, and then you will be made a member of this commission. But we need some people to, continue carrying the ball. The group we have here has done yeoman work. We have accomplished quite a bit. I am terrifically proud of the cemetery group, the 2020 group, the Veterans Sign Committee group. My God, you people have put this town on, and are going to be putting this town on the map. All right, I'm thrilled to have you here. All right, and we've done a lot of good stuff, but you can only do it if you have enough good men and women willing to come forward and volunteer and do this stuff. You can't be the same people all along. My wife has been on this commission since its inception in 1992.
Yes, I was a baby.
I'm a newcomer. I'm a newcomer by a long shot. I used to accompany her and everything else, but she was appointed by Hank Sanders back in 1992 as one of the originals. The other original that we had left was Chick Scribner.
Yes,
Okay?
we started together, Chick
We
and
started
I.
together. So it's a tough thing to do, to resign your position and stuff, but it just isn't fair. You need somebody who can be here full-time, who can do the work, who can coordinate all this stuff, and who gets to learn the system and know how it works here. And enough about that, but that's basically what's going to happen. So if there's anybody else who is resigning, or anybody else who's up for reappointment and wants to be reappointed, please tell your respective RTC or DTC representative, so that we have you vetted again. They interview you again, and then you get put up before the Board of Selectmen, and then you come back in. To that,
Maybe you should say what we do and when we meet, so that the public knows.
well, we meet the second Tuesday of every month, except for July and August. This commission meets. And once you get on this commission, we expect and hope that you will be an active member, and several of these subcommittees have members from this commission on them, all right? But they also bring in other people who are volunteers to work, which is great, I mean, Tracy Root is a member, and Sharon Kells are members of that commission, of that committee rather, the cemetery committee, but neither one of them is a commissioner on this body.
And Lucy,
And of course, Lucy the same deal. Lucy is the chair of the Veterans Sign Committee, and not a voting member of this commission, but she comes to meetings. And Alan is the chair of his committee, and he's not a member of this commission, but he comes to all the meetings and participates.
and
So we
Lucy
need people
did
to do
the
this.
publicity for the signs for Richard Costello, and it was really well attended and just wonderful. His family was so thrilled. They had a reception at the VFW afterwards. It was really nice.
Yes,
You did a
that-
great
that-
job.
Yeah, so I'm going to segue out of resignation and stuff and everything else and into that. I will mention that to you. You have it in your packet. The Costello family is very well known in this town. The man who was honored had a tragic end in town. If you don't know that story, he was, I believe he fell off a ladder and stuff and everything else when he was working in his yard. And I know we can't guarantee this every time, but when Chick Scribner's got his name put up on a sign, it was right in front of the house he was born in, basically, on Herman Street, okay? Right there. Mr. Costello gets his sign, and it's on the corner, and here's the house that the whole family grew up in, right
Yes.
there, on the corner.
On Moore and West.
It's like,
It was amazing.
you can't make this up, all right? I mean, it's just incredible. So keep up the good work. I know you've got a few more in the pipeline. We had an excellent turnout that day. Boy Scouts came, stood a flag line for us. The police came in droves and blocked off the streets and stuff.
Stevenson.
Yes.
The 8th grade students from her class were there to help, to give her moral
Yes.
support and so on.
Jamie was there.
Jamie was there, read a proclamation, it was fantastic. It's just, it was a really good time, and as you said, the VFW helped them out, and they had, the VFW had a reception afterwards upstairs, and we all went back there, and it was quite nice. I'm telling you, it was a wonderful thing. And thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, I don't want you to.
Oh, I do, I want to tell you.
Really, they were
You do hard
They
work.
were so appreciative. It was nice to see, and they all came together from Boston and from
Right.
all over the country.
Well, what was amazing was that his wife had also served
Yes.
in the
Right.
Army, so I was able to tie that in a little bit. If I could just add a few words. Yesterday at Middlesex, we had a presentation for Veterans Day, and Sue Ann and her husband came and talked, which was really great. But I was able to tie in our sign program as part of the presentation. So I did research about the Fitch Home for Soldiers and Alan and O'Neill, who perished in Pearl Harbor, and the Witness Tree and the State Cemetery, and then our Veteran Sign Program. And I put it all together so that our 8th graders all had a lesson in Darien history of the support we have for our veterans and the way that people have stepped up to the plate to serve our country. And I just felt really good about it. So that was exactly when I presented to you in October of last year about doing this program. I said it was to raise town awareness, especially at the youth level.
That's right.
And I already see the fruits of that labor, so I'm really happy. So thank you again for, you know,
And I want to thank you again publicly for bringing your team out at 9/11 for us, because you know, we had students there years before. For some reason, we couldn't get them anymore. All of a sudden, she brought out her whole team. What color was it?
Green, the green team.
I think my daughter was on a tan team when she was in middle school. But anyway, the green team came out, and all the students and their teachers were out there. And I want to tell you something. That's what it's all about. Because that's why that memorial was put behind that middle school in the first place by Josh Doyle. So thank you very much. Oh, is there anything else on that before I jump to one other thing that I don't see on here? When I was doing something with the budget, okay, interestingly, you know, they find these accounts and stuff, and if you haven't been here, well, you don't know why the account's there. So there is X amount of dollars in an account left over from, for instance, Ken, and you would know, the Memorial Circle out here. Okay, that approximately 1,400 or whatever it is that's there, that's earmarked for any repairs or damage that might be done. That was money that was left over on the fundraising. Get over there. That's what it was. So she sent me, so these accounts are available, and I said, no, actually they're not available. They are already earmarked for certain things, and that's the reason why they exist here. There's also about a $450 fund for the Fireman's Monument. Okay, so those two funds, really, we don't have access to them for day-to-day things, but if something should happen to that monument down at on the post road, or if something should happen in the Memorial Circle, it has to be fixed,
But
the
they're
rock fixed or
monument
something.
specific.
Yeah.
They're not to be used for
Yeah.
all monuments all over.
So I
town.
told her, and she understands that those can only be used for those purposes, and so those accounts do exist. So I wanted you all to be aware of that. Rebecca, you have something to say?
I just wanted to say, on the Veterans Day program, we went to two, one in Greenwich, which was elementary school. We did that one on Friday, and then we did the one at Tokenique School yesterday. And I have to say, the elementary schools really do a good job.
It's great.
They really do. And I have to say, Grandpa didn't know how he was going to be in both places at both times. And the people at the International School of Dundee, the assistant principal, he said, we'll do ours on Friday. So, yeah.
How
so
nice is that?
then next year they're going to switch. That's what Mrs. Michelson
very
told me
cool.
at Tokenique. She said, we'll get it, we'll do it, so Grandpa can be in both places. So that's really good
Very
to see.
nice.
Really is.
Let's jump to meeting room assignments for 2020. They made two changes, and so now we have the...
Did I include that? I think
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did say it was changed. Yes, you did. They made two changes because they have some kind of meeting that they have up here for pensions or something like that. So if you look at it, it's the one that's to Gene Fools, the office administrator. January 14th, 2020 is going to be in room 119, and October 13th and November are both changed. So they're on the list there. So you've got a complete list of your meeting dates for next year. All right, and should anything ever change on this, we will notify you immediately.
Yes, but these were approved by Jean,
Right.
who does it every year. And then she had some switches. So this is it so far.
Fantastic. All right, so repair the monuments and ceremonies display case. We can revisit that. You know, if we think we're going to do more than just leave this unstained thing in there, but they got to put some kind of a veneer. It is a veneer, basically. That's why it broke. Election of officers in December. We could have it in December. We could have it in January. You can think about if December's a busy time for you. I'm not going to.
I
You know,
think you
push
should
it.
have it after you get some more people.
Yeah, you might want to wait and see if you get some more bodies in here and stuff and everything else, which would be great. And then you have more to, to pull from. But I would say to you, everybody that's on the commission, please give it a thought that you may want to take over one of these positions. Karen's going to leave the secretary position, I'm going to leave the chairman's position. We have Terry, that's a vice chairman. We have all the rest of you here that are here. So please give some thought to this. We can discuss it at the next meeting, who we want to put up, or we can wait until January. I'm just giving you like a warning of the impending election, or at some point we can get an election done, and get some more bodies in here. This is a great commission. This is the Do Something Commission in the town of Darien. I'm sorry, I'm prejudiced. This commission does stuff, and it's just incredible. Speaking to the phone, Terry is one of the guys who, when he was doing an inventory and stuff, and he was starting to inventory all the murals in the building. I did mention to some people before, that was something that he didn't really have to do, but he did. He made an inventory of the wall. I told you that they put the Doherty mural, and Doherty's the one that did nursery rhymes over at the home school, the big one. They have murals about the size of this. One of them went into the Tully Center recently. It was finally repatriated back to the town of Stamford. That's a long story that you can read about in the newspaper. If you look in last week's paper. They valued it at $100,000. Okay, now these are by known artists, okay, of the WPA and PWPA, and these are also valuable. And the murals downstairs, the Palestins, and the murals inside the Hills, Arthur Hull Gibson, I guess his name is, down inside the auditorium. Those are all murals that are valuable to this town, and so we don't normally consider them part of our business because of the Monuments and Ceremonies Committee, but it could become, it could become another committee that's in the mural committee or something like that if we get enough bodies to do it. Because we need to get them evaluated again, get somebody come in and say what are they worth, and and perhaps that's something that the town administrator can take up, because we've got a treasure trove here in this building, on the walls, going down the stairwells. How about those? Okay, another group, and the ones that we used over at our show over at the Darien Historical Society. Those two that we brought out, those are beautiful. Those are stored down in the basement and stuff. So there's quite a bit of stuff here that needs to be kept up. But this commission is, I have to tell you, I'm not leaving, I'm not going anywhere tomorrow, but I'm just saying, this has been, I think, a godsend for this town. I think what we have accomplished, what we have done, what we try to accomplish is remarkable. And we do it with a handful of people. I mean, we really do. And people that are working and people that are not here all the time and everything else, it's just tough for them to do it, but somehow we get it done anyway. So it's, I appreciate that. So is there anything else to come before the meeting at this particular moment in time?
Oh, I want to say Veterans Day yesterday went really well, and
Veterans
we had a
Day.
very good turnout.
Thank you. It was a great turnout. The 5 veterans that were up on the upper area, all from the VFW Post 6933, all happened to be representative of the Vietnam War. Okay, we had Ray Slavin attended, Korean War veteran.
Ray has something to say.
Korean War veteran. Okay, it's funny when you go to ask how many veterans are there from World War II. I can remember as a kid watching a parade come down the street, and they were asking how many veterans are here from World War I. And there were a bunch.
You must be old.
I am old. And there were a bunch. And we used to march to, in my town, we used to march to the different monuments and stuff, and they would do a little ceremony at each monument in the town. One was for the Civil War, and they were Civil War veterans, not when I was a kid, most of them were gone. But I'm glad we've got the old and the new. We have older veterans, we have younger veterans, and we have people that are willing to put on a uniform, and that says something for them. It says something for their character.
Mention anything about Raleigh?
Yeah, I did. I did at the beginning.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, and I will. And the condolence card that went around, Karen, do you
It's
have?
in the
Okay.
folder.
So-
Where is it? Oh, it's in the, here it is.
He's been at
Okay.
the senior center,
Yeah.
so he's,
I did speak to him today.
Oh, you did? Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone who hasn't signed a card for,
Anyone who hasn't signed the card for Raleigh, Ray, you might want to sign it. You
Yeah.
can sign it. Sure. Here's a pen. Okay.
I got it.
okay.
Is there anything else coming before the committee at this time?
Oh, I know. I want to tell you, someone called me while I was in South Dakota about cleaning the Rings End Monument. And I told them to get actually water and a very soft cloth and go over it with a little bit of soap and water, and they did, and they said it didn't really do much good at all. And that's about as far as I was willing to go, because I didn't want to get the patina off the Rings End Monument. And does anybody have an idea about anything else to do? I didn't want to
Will they ever clean them, really clean them back to new, or no?
Where's the?
Well, the only experience we have in that area is what they did with the tombstones, the stones in the cemetery.
Right.
Which, cleaning them back.
Right.
And I would assume you would do it the same way.
I mean,
you're
Yeah,
gonna do
this
it.
is
brass-
this is a plaque.
You wouldn't do the,
Bronze.
This is a bronze plaque.
yeah, all right, and it's what, a
Well, you know,
three?
on that monument at the bridge, that was actually a friend of mine who called you in, and
Yeah,
I know.
he was
We're going back to
more
what I
concerned, and
Yes.
I have to say that the buildings department was great. They had that outhouse moved
I know,
within
thank you.
hours
That was fantastic.
of the
Yes.
request.
Yeah, and you know what? There is a way to, they actually make a paste. You can make a paste using baking soda and a little vinegar and stuff. And you use a toothbrush. You can go around, you can get some of the stuff off of it that way, which would be a little tedious. It sounds like KP or something, but I'm just concerned about once you expose what's underneath, okay, now you're increasing the ability to...
You're talking about the bronze.
The bronze
Yes.
step, yeah.
I
yeah.
wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't
That's what
touch,
I said.
I said I wouldn't touch it. I can't remember any place ever cleaning them off.
No.
Totally.
No, his whole concern wasn't with actually cleaning the grime. He did. He went down and pulled the weeds because the weeds were growing in front of him.
I got news for you.
That's when he said cleaning it up. That's what his thought was.
I want to thank him very much. I mean, I can mention his name, and can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Bill Wright, and he went down, and immediately after he contacted us and we told him how to do it, he went down and tried to clean it and spruced it up and got it a little better and all that stuff. That's a set, that particular monument was placed during the 150th year, okay, in 1970. And so the house that's being built there, the trucks are going in and out, and they had the latrine sitting next to it, the outhouse sitting next to it, and you got that moved. All right, and that was great.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. And you know what? I'm hoping once they finish banging on that building and they're done and everything else, that they realize it's part of their extended property and that they look at it a little
Well,
bit
they
differently.
did
and
have pumpkins
treat it.
and chrysanthemums.
Yeah,
It
they
looked
did put
very
stuff
pretty.
on it. They put pumpkins out near it, and they put chrysanthemums in front of it and stuff and everything, and they made it look
Now,
really
she
easy.
lived there for years,
Yeah,
in the house that burned, and then
Right.
this is a replacement.
Right.
yeah. So, anyway, but I thank, and I told them, I said, local people who come forward and do stuff like this are our life's blood.
That was wonderful of him.
You know,
to ask.
wonderful of him to do that because it shows he cares, and but I think on a situation like this with the patina that's on there, I think that patina is actually protecting that bronze at this particular point in time. And I realize it's hard to read. I will tell you that the best way to read it is to wet it. If you take a bottle of water and just pour it right on
Yeah,
it,
we
and
did,
let it go
but
across
it is very hard to
and
read.
it shows up
But it's in
much
such a
better.
high salt content area
Yeah.
that I didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't want to expose it,
No.
you know, so.
I think if you shine them, it's an invitation to steal them too. I mean,
Yes, that too.
No,
You don't want to make it look too good.
no, yeah, well, I mean, people, they're still selling these things to sell in the scrap metal.
They are, and that's where two of our monuments that were put out in 1970 went.
Yeah.
Once from Tilly Pond.
Right.
Both of them went.
Oh,
you know.
Peter Pun's
Peter Punt went
gone.
from outside here too. All right, I'll take a motion to close the meeting if somebody will
So
raise their
adjourned.
hand. So moved by Ken, seconded by Jim,
Seconded.
and third. Is
And
there any
third
other
by-
discussion?
Yes.
All in favor?
What?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?